welcome to episode 2. So in this episode we are going to be talking about tooling and the basic tooling that you will need in order to begin actually operating your lathe and doing actual machining. So this is going to be a very brief thing. It's not going to be in-depth. I'm not going to really be telling you everything you need to know about these tools, but I am going to be telling you enough for you to start getting going. I'm also going to be talking about how to secure your tools into your whatever kind of mechanism, or sorry, not mechanism, whatever setup you have for holding your tools. So let's just jump right in. Okay, so first up, let's just go ahead and start talking about tool holders. So as of what I know, there are two tool holders, the main tool holders, and this is what your lathe will come with. Unless you got it from like an eBay, someone that has already modified it. So this just right here is a regular tool holder. You simply tighten these and you put your tool in here and it holds your tool. You're gonna have to use shim stock depending on your tool sizes, but for the most part, that's a very simple tool holder to use. That's what you're gonna have to use in the beginning. Now, if you want to upgrade to a quick change tool holder, which is mine right here, I'll show you up close in a minute. It's very quick. You take your tool, slide it in, you lock it, that's done. Whereas this one, if you wanted to change tools, you'd have to close it every time. You can change the direction. It's not really that big of a deal. It's not really for speed, it's more for, it's a lot of accuracy, it's a lot more adjustable. So this is why I prefer the quick change. It is a little bit more pricey to change to, but it is worth it in the end. And then I will go ahead and show you the two simple tools right here. Left and right hand cutters. These are interchangeable carbide tool holders, and then these right here are the carbide bits, I'm gonna call them. And those right there are basically your flat out, that's what you're gonna get when you first start. I'll go ahead and link an Amazon kit down below. There should be maybe 4 or 5 different ones that come in a kit, and then just when you're done with those inserts, you can actually unscrew them, flip them, and then use the other side. There are 3 sides. Now, if you do end up breaking the insert, you're gonna have to rechange it, the whole thing out. But inserts aren't that expensive. You just can go to eBay, or you can go to Amazon, or you can go wherever. You just look up the insert that it goes for the tool, and then you get that insert. There are different inserts that are more expensive and cheaper ones. Simply, you can just go for the cheaper ones, just because if you're just trying to get through and you're just trying to get started, just get the cheaper ones. And then next, we have the boring bar. So this right here is just a boring bar. It sits in the lathe like this, and then when you control it, it moves in and out of the hole or the bore that you are trying to make larger. It's a very nice tool to have. It kind of is necessary for any real machining purposes. If you're going to make rings, if you're going to make beads, if you're going to make pretty much anything that requires to have a hole inside of it, it's nice to be able to zero in on your tolerance perfectly, whereas a drill bit kind of could wobble a little bit, or maybe it's just not perfectly sized, which is normal for drill bits. That right there is just a simple 3/8 boring bar. And then this right here is, I think, either a 1/2 inch or 5/8 boring bar. It is a lot more rigid, it's a lot bigger, it's more solid. It's a lot, you can use it for a lot of different more industrial applications, whereas this 3/8 is pretty simple for hobbyists. And obviously, depending on your lathe, you have to get the certain tool sizes. So if you have a very small lathe, you're going to want to get small tools. You're going to want to get all 3/8 tooling, unless you can get 1/2 inch tooling, which are a lot more rigid, like I said, but they're a little bit more expensive as well. So let's just see here. So I'm going to go ahead and, okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick change. I'm just going to demonstrate this because this is what I have. This is what a lot of people have these days, but I'm just going to go with this. If somebody wants me to do a demonstration on how to use the other tool post, I can just comment it. Okay, so basically with this, you're going to have your tool post. This is how it's going to arrive. Very simple. You don't need to touch anything else. All you got to do is put this in here. Make sure it's up against the back. And generally, you want your stick out of your tool which is how far it sticks out of the holder, to be pretty close. You don't want it to be like this, because then you're not going to really be able to see what you're doing. But you also don't want it to be like this, because then it's going to bend up and down whenever you take a cut. So generally, just try and get the best of both worlds. If you have to change it for a special operation, it's not that big of a deal. You can go out a little bit more, you can go in a little bit more for more clearance, and then what you got to do is you just tighten down the key or the Allen or the screws, sorry, the bolts, that connect with it. So only there are 4 in it, but only usually you have to use 2 for these types of tools. And then after you do that, you're going to want to put it inside of your holder, and then you're going to want to mess around with this adjustment system in order to get it perfectly level with your workpiece. So generally what I do is I take the tool and you want to flip it to the other side. I put it in this side of the holder, not the face, and then I usually get a piece of metal and I face the piece of metal until there's no little nub on the bar, and I'll show you that in a minute. But that's just me going to say it, so I'm going to demonstrate it in a minute. But for now, that's pretty much it. Very straightforward. It's really simple. You really can't go wrong, because if it's wrong, then you'll see, and then you can fix it. So very simple. So that's pretty much it for that. Move on to the next one. Okay, so before I move on to the tooling for the lathe versus the tooling for cutting, I'm just going to go over these 2 other tools I missed. This right here is a carbide parting tool. It's a big one. So for this, I really just use it for metals. I don't usually use it for resins or plastics because it can dull the carbide. And it's just not necessary because of how big the big chunk of material it takes. It's like 1 millimeter to maybe like 1/2 millimeter and a half that it takes of material off. Now for this one right here, this is just a high-speed steel. It's a very thin high-speed steel bar. It goes in this tool holder. I use this tool holder. Some people prefer the other tool holders. I have both. This one just works for me, so that's what I do. And then there are thicker versions of these that you can use for cutting metal. I don't know which one's cheaper out of the 2. I go for this one because I just prefer it, and I usually cut titanium with it, which is nice, but that's my personal opinion. And then obviously this is a very, very dangerous tool because they can explode, and I have had a few close calls with them. So go very carefully, very slow. Make sure you're running a very slow RPM on your machine. And then this one again is, I really just use it for resins or plastics because of how thin it is. You really don't want to use any metals on that one because you'll just burn it up. Okay, so now we'll move on. Okay, so as for tooling for the lathe, right here I'm just going to go ahead and start off with a live center. So the reason I call it a live center is because this center here spins. Now this is very important if you have a really long piece that you're trying to turn. Sorry about the audio. I don't know if you can hear that, but yeah, so this is a very good piece to have to put in your tailstock, so that way you can have something to support your long piece of material or whatever you're working on. Definitely recommend getting this. Everybody uses one at some point in time, and you'll always find yourself needing it. And then now if we go ahead and move on, this is more important than the live center without a doubt. This is the drill chuck. This is how you're going to be drilling anything in your machine. There are janky ways to hook up drill bits in your machine, but it's a lot safer and simpler to get one of these. They really aren't that expensive to get. You really don't have to get a very nice one. They're precision ones, and if you're trying to do precision work, very precision work, go ahead and get that. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, but this will do the job. Mine's halfway probably between nice and not so nice, but it works and I don't have any complaints about it. Simple, just works like a drill chuck, just like your drill. So yeah, definitely get one of these. It'll come with the chuck key. That's just how you simply work the system here. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this. And then let's see here. So next up, we're gonna go ahead and say the chuck right here. This is just a simple 3-jaw. This is what you're gonna use 99% of the time. There are also collet chucks. Collet chucks are very nice to have. They're not necessary for any kind of hobbyist machining. If you're going for, I mean, you know, I have mine for a lot of different reasons, but it's not necessary at all. Just thought I would throw it in here. And then 4-jaw chucks. Most lathes come with 4-jaw chucks. If not, they're not like very good to use. So this right here has 4 jaws. These things have 4 jaws, and mine, usually they come as not self-centering. So self-centering means you can turn the key and all 3 jaws will go together evenly. Whereas with that one, you have to turn each one individually in order to get it to move in. So in order to center things, it takes a little bit more time, it takes a little bit more tools, but it's nice to have for awkward jobs. But generally you want to stay away from those if you don't really know what you're doing, because they're a little bit more dangerous to use and they're heavier, and they're just generally not something that you really need to grab that often. So now we're going to go ahead and move, wait, hold up. And this right here is a dead center. So this right here does not spin. It is it is a solid piece of metal. You usually put this in your bore. So you want to take off your drill chuck, or sorry, not your drill chuck, your chuck, and then you want to stick this in the bore. You'll find yourself needing to use it every once in a while, but I have not used it very much. And then the hassle of taking off your chuck is not worth it either. Sorry for the bad audio throughout this entire video. It hasn't been great, but this is a little bit longer of a episode, but there's a lot more stuff to cover. So I hope that even though I'm not covering all of it, it's just enough to get you guys started. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use this up close and the different other things, how to use them up close. So let's do it. Okay, so here we have it all set up. I'm just going to go ahead and use my boring bar for this because I don't feel like changing out my tool right now. But generally, if you're going to use this tool to center it in, just flip it around to where you can put it in like this, exactly like this. Make sure it's tightened down. Go ahead and have your thing running, your machine running. You want to usually back it up to about right there, and then what you want to do is you just want to go in, and you just want to face this right here, and then what you want to look for is if you have, now this is not a good example, this is just rough example. If you have a little nub right here that's sticking out, that means you either have to lower or raise your tool. And the way you do that is you just undo this, you go up, or you do it down, and then that's how you control your tool height. That's how I do it. There's also another way to do it, but this is the way I prefer. Again, this is not a good example for me to be doing it like this, but it shows you how to do it. It's just a little rough. Let's go ahead in the video, and see you there. Okay, so this is the outro. I think I covered everything that I need to do as of tooling and how to set up your tooling. I'm gonna get better at this. I think this went pretty smoothly, but we'll see how it looks when I'm editing it. If you have any questions or if you think I missed anything, comment them. Go ahead and let me know. This is not exactly how I do things, so don't go ahead and judge it. This is just for YouTube. So this is pretty much not gonna look like how I actually do things, but it shows you how I do things enough for you to see. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy, and like, subscribe, and get ready for the next video.